welcome back to my channel. So I know it's been a little minute since I've been on here. You know, I am a jack of many trades, so I'm always doing something. When I'm not recording content, just know I am busy doing something else. But I have been working on a number of things low key, and I will be releasing them periodically throughout the year. But in the meantime, between time, I did want to talk about this upcoming transit that we have happening. I thought it would be cool to kind of break down what that means for the collective. So today is, what day is today? I never know what day it is. Like I just be all over the place. My mind be in a different dimension. Like I just can't. Let me just double check. Okay, today is May 22nd, 111 as I'm recording this, but today's May 22nd. So on the 24th, the planet Saturn will be moving into the sign of Aries. Um, Currently we are in Saturn in Pisces, and Saturn has been placed there for quite some time now. Now, basically, Saturn is a planet that influences society in a way where it's meant to tighten people up. So Saturn represents time, it represents discipline, lessons, karmic cycles. Planet Saturn is really a planet of maturity. So wherever Saturn is placed in a person's natal chart, it shows areas where you're meant to mature over time. And once you've mastered those lessons in that area, you will reap the rewards that come with those themes. Now, on a collective scale, Saturn shows where it's calling society to tighten up in these specific areas. Now, while we had Saturn and Pisces going on, the themes for that were along the lines of disillusionment of false structures. So Pisces is an energy that's really much into illusion and fantasy. It can idealize situations instead of taking a realist approach. And sometimes it can be ambiguous. It can be unclear. That energy can cause for confusions and things of that nature. So there's a lot of confusion in religion, in spiritual systems, in the media, in the music industry, as we've been seeing for the last like 2-3 years, because Pisces also rules music and the music industry. So it's not, far-fetched that we've seen all the things happening as they were playing out during this transit. Saturn and Pisces also is calling for the collective to implement and really understand boundaries, especially emotionally, even in terms of like psychic boundaries, spiritual boundaries, and things of that nature. Themes with this transit were also in relation to like escapism, so and accountability as well. So what ways were people using alcohol, using drugs, using sex, and those kind of vices to escape whatever trauma that it was affecting them in some way, or whatever experiences, what are they running away from? So when we have those type of vices that become addictive, it's because we're ultimately like trying to escape from something within internally, whether it's a subconscious pattern or a past life experience, or something that we've experienced at some point in our adulthood that we kind of did not want to fully address. So we look for something else to distract us. So some people were, having to battle addiction and go through rehab, and those type of things came with this energy of this transit. Taking accountability for certain actions that put you in uncompromising positions. For an example, what we're seeing now going on with Cassie and things like that, reckoning of illusion and deception and spiritual bypassing. These are all things that were playing out in this transit, and the collective really felt it emotionally. There was a lot of emotional overwhelm that came with this transit. A lot of people could have felt burnt out during this transit, because it was very taxing energetically, spiritually, emotionally. And especially if you are somebody who's more sensitive, if you identify with being an empath, things of that nature, um, a lot of people were having to face serious issues with their mental health. Some people, were going through issues with suicidal thoughts and things of that nature, and like alternate alternative forms of therapy and mental remedies, things of that nature. So this transit really called for a lot of spiritual grounding, mental health reforms and things of that nature. People searching for the truth as well, and amongst a lot of misinformation. So what year was that freaking Cat Williams rung the bell and then just shit started going trickle down, downhill within the media, because we were in a time where everything done in the dark comes to the light at some point. So in this particular time frame in society, that's where we are as a collective. Like, lies can no longer hold up. People want the truth, they want vulnerability, they want authenticity. We need to see what real leadership looks like. So when Saturn is moving into Aries now, this is what we're going to see: the rearranging of social structures and leadership. So and excuse me if you see me looking down, it's just so I don't forget anything. I have like a whole bunch of notes because my thoughts must be organized. So that's why you see me like looking down sometimes. But and nonetheless, Saturn will be in Aries for the next couple of months. I can't remember exactly how many months. Then it will retrograde back into Pisces, and once it goes direct again, then it will be in the sign of Aries until 2028. So we have a lot of time with this energy. Now, Saturn in Aries, this transit is going to bring forth themes when it comes to like individualism, courage. It's calling for people to be in a more pioneering spirit, but with this energy where we are going to see certain people, certain leaders being demoted, certain people taking up new levels of leadership and authority. There's going to be like ego confrontations because Aries, this is Mars energy. Mars is all about war and like that real masculine dominance and exerting yourself and power and all of that stuff. So there will be fighting for certain positions, and just in general, you see a lot more aggressive energy during this transit. But people need to really be emotionally intelligent and learn how to control their emotions during this transit, because it's going to call for you to take accountability around your personal choices, around how you express anger, around how you identify yourself and exert your power and your free will. So during this transit, we will see it's possible to see a lot more incidents where people are fighting and getting arrested. You will see that a lot more. A lot of arguments and confrontation, things of that nature. There is also going to be this theme of like karma for the warriors, like this warrior spirit and karma, in the sense that like you'll see people are going to have to stand up for themselves more, or you're going to be witnessing like the consequences of unchecked aggression. And what we might see too in the media is like situations where people might have swept crime under the rug. So whether that's blackmailing or blackballing somebody, whether that's somebody actually, killed and was able to hid the crime, or like unsolved murders come to the surface during this transit. People that and this is just an example, like what's his name? Damn, what's his name? Was it Kendrick Johnson? Where he was African American, and they found him rolled up in a rug in the school, and it was a whole thing. And they swept that under the rug, and then I think his organs was misplaced, and that jazz. Like a situation like that where it went unsolved, like we didn't get the full facts of that. But then during this transit, we get a missing piece somewhere, and it doesn't have to necessarily be this situation. I'm just using it as an example. But things like that, where there was some type of crime, they tried to wipe it under the rug, sweep it under the rug, tamper with evidence and things of that nature. Under this transit, you will see that karma balances things out, and you are going to be forced to take accountability for what you did. So we're also going to see issues of like pirating, so people stealing ideas, copyright infringement, stuff in those realms might be a thing that plays out next year. So it's very important for you, like you the viewer, if you're somebody who is like an artist, you make music or you make digital products or you do something, having to copyright or patent your work, those are things to think about during this transit for the next couple of years. But it's really like overall, we're redefining leadership, masculinity. So there's going to be a lot of discourse between masculinity, toxic masculinity versus positive masculinity, and those type of archetypes are going to be even more highlighted, I guess. Changing the society standard of what it means to be an alpha male or an alpha female, stuff of that nature. Now, we will also probably see, well, not probably, we will see more entrepreneurs and sole proprietors during this transit. And the systems in place are really going to push people to man up or fight for themselves. So a lot of things about unequal rights during this transit as well. It's like giving survival of the fittest too. If you're not mentally, emotionally strong, financially equipped, financially responsible, it's going to be a very tough transit. Like, I can't even lie about that. If you have no faith in God, or if you haven't been intentionally over the years building that relationship, you're going to have a hard time navigating through this transit as well, because there is going to be a lot of unfairness and things that are beyond our control due to like government regulations and laws and all of those, things like that. We'll also probably see increased debates around autonomy and like self-defense, war, military, gun laws. So that's the part that I don't necessarily like look forward to. Because there's positives and negatives with everything. So like the more negative side to this transit is like things like that. So self-defense, crime, shootings, that type of energy, because again, Aries is very warlike. It's very chaotic energy. And another thing that can also potentially play out, if people are not again in control of their emotions, and they're just leading by impulse, and they get angry, they get triggered, they're leading with that aggressive energy immediately, what we can begin to see is that because there is a lot of crime happening, the government officials, they might want to take control by implementing like martial law. That's just like in a very extreme case. It doesn't have to happen, but it's something that could possibly happen depending on how people are moving in society in general. So we can also see in the media a surge in fitness related news, fitness gurus. Everybody wants to get back into the gym, potentially because we have to be more intentional with being healthy to sustain these higher timelines when there's an attack on everything, an attack on our food and big pharma, shit like that. But yeah, a lot of personal transformation influencers that could be on the rise. There can also too be an energy of more protesting next year, but I don't see necessarily seeing it being peaceful protests. A lot more uncivilized protests because people are angry. Collective movements in a very aggressive way. That could be something that manifests within this transit. So while Saturn and Pisces had us drowning in emotions, uncovering lies and illusions so we can really see things the way that it actually is, see things in reality, Aries will dry off that watery energy, and it's kind of like gonna force you to put your big girl panties on, your big boy panties on, and say, okay, yeah, there's shit going on in the world. What are you gonna do about it? So very action oriented time. Now, depending on where you have Aries transiting your chart, that can show where you're meant to implement leadership or take authority in a certain matter of your life. So I can read off quickly to you guys some notes that I have, and this is going to be based on your rising signs. So now I'm going to be looking down more because I have to, like, I did not memorize this off the top of my head. This is just what I was channeling and writing down. So Aries, if you're an Aries rising, Obviously, this Saturn transit is going to be transiting your first house. So the theme here for you is leadership of self. So this is a time to master your identity. You will be pushed to step up and act with purpose and take personal accountability. No more waiting for approval because you're becoming your own authority. Okay, Taurus rising. This transit, Saturn and Aries, will be transiting your 12th house. So this for you is all about spiritual discipline. You are being called to lead in unseen realms and master your subconscious. Your spiritual health and your inner healing and alone time is very important and sacred for you. So no more avoiding emotional baggage. Face your feelings, face your patterns, your triggers, your traumas, and you have to deal to heal. Gemini risings, this transit is happening in your 11th house. So, leading communities is a theme for you guys. You're being pushed to step up and lead within your network or within your friend circles, your online spaces, in your work setting, wherever have you. You have to ask yourself, am I really just a follower or am I a leader? You're not a follower. So don't be following all the shit that everybody else is doing, okay? You are here to build something visionary. So you are you're here to create the future, but with people and not just for them. So collaborative effort. Cancer, this transit will be taking place in your 10th house, so public leadership and legacy is a theme here for you. Saturn will demand you to step up professionally. So, right now, it's a time for you to really take ownership in society, in your role in society. Make long term moves to build something that reflects your ambition. So you're really meant to be in that go-getter energy right now. No more hiding in the background, in the shadows, playing it small, okay? This is your public initiation to take your place in the collective, and this is also here to start establishing your legacy. So, Leo, this transit is happening in your ninth house. So, this is about thought leadership. This is a time for you to become a guide or a teacher or a voice of higher wisdom for your peers, for your family, your kids, for your career space, whatever have you. Whether through travel or publishing or sharing practical or spiritual knowledge with others, you're called to take the lead by expanding minds. So, starting with your own mind, okay? So, you are here to like learn all this information. You kind of take on the energy of like a sage, and then each one teach one. So you're meant to teach the people around you so that can inspire and spark some change with them. So we can't change an entire nation. Well, we can start with the people that's close to us. Basically, what this is given. Virgo rising. This transit will be taking place in your eighth house. So this is about financial and emotional power. Saturn will have you confront your issues or if you have any fears in surrounding debt, intimacy, and shared resources. So you're meant to take stock and control your financial and energetic exchanges. This time is about you building that spiritual maturity, and the way to do that is through shadow work and becoming a money master. So, mastering your finances, becoming more financially literate, and things of that nature. This could be a very lucrative time frame for you guys. If you really lock in and focus on these areas, you will see how powerful you guys become. Libra rising. This transit is happening in your seventh house. So, leadership and relationships is a theme for you guys. You'll be tested in how you show up in your partnerships, okay? Are you a co creator or are you codependent? These are going to be themes or questions that you got to ask yourself. Saturn wants you to define boundaries, okay? Do not overextend yourself. Lead with maturity. Stop people pleasing. And this is not a time for you to romanticize connections too much too soon. Scorpio, this transit will be taking place in your sixth house. So this is about daily discipline. Um, this is about discipline in your daily life. Okay. So you're meant to boss up in your habits, in your health, in your regimens, your workflow, your rituals. Okay, Saturn demands that you implement structure and master your day-to-day life. You're being trained to lead through service and you are not allowed to take shortcuts. And I resonate with this so much as a Scorpio rising because even before like weeks prior to this transit even happening, I've already like intentionally been working to try and develop more discipline. Fasting is something that really, really, really will help you out a great deal. And I actually have a video about that coming soon. So you'll get to see like what my journey was with fasting for 21 days. I'll talk more about it, but that's a great start to implementing discipline. All right, Sagittarius now. This transit is taking place in your fifth house. So this is about creative leadership. This is a time for you to really take your gifts seriously, whether it be in relation to business or a talent, an idea that you have, or if it's in relation to children. You're being called to build what lights you up inside. So discipline and passion will equal to sustainable success in any area that deals with the fifth house. Capricorn risings. So this transit is taking place in your fourth house, which means the theme for you guys is about emotional foundations. So Saturn is influencing you to become a master of your emotions, to be the leader of your inner world. So emotional mastery is the key here. You'll be needing to create security, to heal your family karma and take accountability for your roots, okay? Building a foundation that is very strong because you are worthy of the empire where you are meant to lead. Aquarius now. Aquarius risings. This transit will be taking place in your third house. So you are leading with your voice. Your voice matters, okay? You guys are being called to speak with conviction because you guys hold a lot of wisdom. And the thing with you guys is that you may have a tendency to repress your voice, repress your thoughts, your ideas, either out of fear or because you just like are so over society, you're just so disgusted with humanity, but this is not what you need to be doing right now. You need to speak up, okay? So if you have to like clean up your communication, if you need to, if you feel like that will make you a more confident speaker, then do so. But you're here to study and teach. So you are going to become a thought leader in your field, whatever that is, whether it's at work, in business, in your social circles, amongst your friends, your family, whatever have you. And last but not least, we have Pisces risings. Pisces, this transit is taking place in your second house. So this is about money, self-worth, and possessions. So you're meant to be serious about your finances, your values, your sense of self-worth, and you don't want to attach your sense of self-worth to tangible things. At the same time, you are going to be more focused on creating that financial stability. So there's a fine line. Like no matter what's going on, you want to know that you are worthy regardless. No, let me say that over. So Pisces, this transit is taking place in your second house. So you're meant to be serious about your finances, your values, your sense of self-worth. Okay, this is your season of real stability. So don't just dream about abundance. You want to actually take action to bring that to life. Structure it. This is a time for you to take stock of how you earn, how you spend and save. So if you undervalued yourself for the last however many months or years, this transit will highlight that so that you can correct it, because you're not here to sell yourself short or undervalue your work. You are worthy of the things that you want. You are worthy of abundance, and you are meant to lead with confidence, and that you know and believe that you're worthy of everything that you desire. So I'm going to leave this video off here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys are interested in astrology readings or checking out any of my services, I will leave that in the description box for you. You guys can like take a look at the options and book with me if you choose. So I will see you guys on the next one.